Welcome to Master Your Money Mindset 2.0, brain hacks for ease, abundance, freedom, and flow. I'm your host, Deborah Fryer, and I'm so happy to present to you today Julia Mikk. Welcome.
Thank you, Deborah. So good to be here.
Julia is really quite amazing, and I'm going to use words, and the words are a small fraction of her magnificence. They're just a small fraction of her beauty and her luminousness. She is an internationally acclaimed facilitator for something called Breath of Love. She's born in Estonia. You'll hear that in her beautiful accent. And the work that she does, I will give you a description, but I really encourage you to, I usually put this at the end. I'm going to tell you right at the beginning. I encourage you to go get the free gift at the bottom of this so that you can experience this for yourself. Because you listening to this interview with me and Julia will be like you watching somebody make the most delicious chocolate cheesecake, but I really want you to be able to have a taste of it. So go get the free gift right now and then come right back here and you can watch the interview. Okay, so let me tell you about Julia. She's this awesome teacher of this healing work that is called Breath of Love. And during the last 16 years, she has worked with people all over the world in this mind-body modality, which creates an experience of ease that is like none other. It is incredibly liberating and easeful and prayerful and peaceful and yummy and delicious. And I've experienced this with Julia many times, and it's just such a wonderful experience to have in my nervous system that I can go back to again and again and again. It's like a touchstone of ease that Julia facilitates. So that's what I want to say by way of introduction. And it's like a mere shadow of her brilliance. So let's I'm going to turn it over to you, and then your full brilliance can shine. Welcome.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. I love your example of creamy chocolate cake. It's like, yeah, what if our whole life can be that way?
And it can, can't it?
And not just talking about it or talking about the recipe, but actually experiencing it and tasting it.
So we're going to be talking today about how do we have a relationship with prosperity that is easeful? How do we have a relationship that is yummy and nourishing, and we know that there's plenty? And chocolate cake is a great, or chocolate cheesecake, like a great metaphor. It just popped out of my mouth, but it's a great metaphor because you don't want to eat the whole thing, right? This is not about greediness. So let's just start there. Like, what does prosperity even mean?
For me, the prosperity and prosperity consciousness and prosperity experience really means freedom to fully allow my soul and my spirit express themselves fully in my life. So it has different components to it. Freedom is part of it, freedom to have time, freedom to give myself support, freedom to give myself nourishing experiences. But deeper than that, for me, prosperity is allowing the deepest sense of joy and purpose and meaning to flow through fully.
And that's exactly what happens when you do the work that you do, is you facilitate this opening in each of us so that all of who we are can flow through, all the feelings, the judgment, the love, the joy, the fear. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about the work that you do so that people can begin to have even a little bit of an inkling of what is possible for them.
Well, in my work, I mostly work with subconscious patterns because people who tend to come to me, they have already a lot of understanding and knowledge on a conscious level. They have learned about energy or manifestation, or maybe they are living bigger purpose, or they want to step into being a more courageous entrepreneur. But there are things on a subconscious levels that still hold them back. So it might be some unexplainable fear or unexplainable insecurity, and they are doing all the right things, positive affirmations, and they meditate and they do yoga. They might have a therapist, but still there are things that are in the way. And then they're wondering why. So in my work, we go to that level of subconscious where those deeper limiting beliefs are being held. And subconscious, of course, connects to the human anatomy. So nervous system is affected. Nervous system stores those beliefs too, and muscles and posture and just the physical health is an expression of all those beliefs, either limiting beliefs or unlimiting beliefs. So I work on the deeper level, so then the transformation that happens can really be integrated, embodied, and be sustained through the person's whole lifetime.
How did you come upon your work? You've created this magnificent thing called Breath of Love. How did that make its way through you? Because most of us, when we have a big body of work, it requires a big body of inner work first, so that the next level of our work can come through us.
Well said. Yes, well, for me, well, since I was little, I had all kinds of interesting experiences with Kundalini and energy, and I didn't necessarily know what they were, what they meant. But when I was a teenager, about 18 years ago, I started getting really curious about different healing modalities. And this is one of the healing modalities I came across. It was called spiritual breathing with one of my first teachers at that time. And it created such a profound breakthrough that whatever insecurity I had, or worry or fear, and I especially had a lot of insecurity. I just didn't think highly of myself. I was contracted. Even my body was kind of inward and was very shy. But this breakthrough that happened was so quick and immediate that I was like, oh my God, if it can be this immediate, this is what I choose. And I just kept going back one workshop after another, and I learned to become a facilitator. And then I had many other teachers along the way with whom my awakening kept expanding. So I kept remembering more and more of who I really was. And not only the teachers and awakenings that were blissful, but also my dark nights and my challenges that came along the way taught me a lot about what does it mean to truly heal in a way that's actually tangible and sustainable. And I was struggling with bulimia and anorexia and things that were very hard to heal. It wasn't just like, oh, a little limiting belief. It was like serious addiction that was very, very hard actually to let go for me. But the hardness of it taught me the depth of healing that needed to happen. So I learned so many tools and skills to heal. And then I was able to apply it and bring it to other people.
Mm. So you had this very physical and emotional struggle with your self-esteem. Is it fair to say that that's really one of the root wounds of bulimia and eating disorders? And so you've come to this place of healing. How were you able to? I'd love for you to just share more about what does healing really look like? Because it's not about stopping something, it's about integrating the totality of who you are. It's not about pushing something away and saying, I'm not that, right? It's a different way of integrating the totality of you.
Yeah. In some ways, it's so simple. I'm almost hesitant to give you answer because it might be so easily overlooked. It's like, oh, yeah, yeah. But the actual power that I have discovered in really deepest healing is to open my heart and help my clients open their hearts to those aspects that they normally judge or
Mm.
push away
Mm-hmm.
or make wrong. And it's so very counterintuitive. It's like, why would I ever bring to me or bring closer to me my anger or my pain? Like, why would I possibly open my heart to it? That doesn't make any sense. But
Mm-hmm.
in the full process of like reclaiming every aspect and bringing the whole aspect back into our kindness, tremendous healing happens. I've had
Mm.
clients who had I had one client I'm thinking right now specifically who had a chronic back pain and couldn't heal it for many, many years. No doctor could help him. And just in 3 sessions with me, that pain totally disappeared. And the depth of power and miraculous potency that happens when people tap into their soul and spirit, and from that place welcome every part of them. As you said, the totality gets welcomed, and into totality, tremendous healing and empowerment takes
Mm.
place.
You just said something really important when you said that why would I want to be close to my anger? And, it's so common for people to project their anger onto somebody else and say, I'm angry at you and you did this. And that's a way of us distancing ourselves from our anger. And you did just the opposite. You've actually, brought your anger right into your heart. It's the
Right. Well,
hardest thing. You said simple, but
yeah.
that is the hardest thing to do.
It
Way easier
is
to
the
blame
hardest.
people.
Yeah. And certain things we have been pushing away since childhood. So they're so habitual. Like, this aspect of me is definitely bad and wrong. And then Julia Mick appears in online summit and says, oh no, embrace that. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So like, on a nervous system psyche level, like, we don't even know how to embrace certain aspects. So it's easier said than done. But that's
Right.
when support comes in,
Right.
to actually receive support from someone who can help you do it.
Well, so that's the next level, right? Because our first defense, and we all humans, we all do this, we don't want to deal with our own anger. We don't want to deal with anything that's uncomfortable. So we just fling it as hard as we can onto somebody who's around us. Often it's our parents or our siblings or our lovers or our friends, or, we got to fling that stuff, get it off of me, right? And then, okay, now you're going to reclaim it. But now I have to get receptive too. Like, it's hard. I know you said it's going to be really simple, but what you're proposing is really, really hard. Like, love the stuff that you hate about yourself, that you'd really rather not deal with. And then, like, what else can you receive? How do you help people do that? Because I bet that's one of the biggest blocks that we have to our own greatness, is our ability to receive all of it.
Ability to receive from life starts with our ability to receive our own love,
Mm.
right? So I work with a lot of transformational leaders or entrepreneurs or CEOs, and they're in a position of leadership, but it's really hard to be in your greatness, in your power, when you have these 15 different aspects of you think are wrong and bad and shouldn't be there. And then you spend all this time and energy like trying to push them away, like, I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't be that, I shouldn't choose this. And then there's no wholeness and no power in it. So really the fullness of one's being comes through when they embrace compassionately all that they are. And then there's this energy that can flow and fullness that can happen, and clarity of purpose comes through. But it's like a deep inner work that needs
Mm.
to take place for it to manifest then outwardly in purpose, in work, in money, in
Mm.
courage to follow your greater dream.
I just got this visual when you were like doing this with your hands, that it's almost like I could see this central channel, and if there are chunks of ourself that are missing, the anger part or the bully part or the part that's like, here we are both being visible, and that was super, super scary for me. It took me years to be visible. Lots of people, like, that brick wants to go away, but if you're looking at an internal structure of support and it's got a bunch of holes in it, you're just leaking your energy through that hole.
Exactly. And there's so many things that come along with this leakiness, because when you don't fully embrace yourself exactly as you are, one of the first things that starts happening, you start craving approval from others.
Right.
Because if I'm not giving approval to myself, I have to get it from somewhere.
Right.
So now I'm starting to please other people, try to get their approval, try to get their love. Now I'm terrified. What if they don't love me? Now I'm scared. What if they judge me? But that's just because I don't give myself this
Mm-hmm.
approval in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And it so disempowers us when we do that, because then we rely on them to give us approval. And if they go away, well, then we're in trouble. Or if they decide that we did it wrong, then we're in trouble. But it's such a disempowering stance to take. So let's talk about, because this actually feeds right into people's money mindset. What do you think is the main block for people in creating ease in their life and in their business? Because as a business owner, you want your clients to like you. You want people to want what you're offering.
But do you have to? Like, what if you don't? What if you're not attached to people liking you? What if you're not attached to people purchasing your services?
So
To
do you
me,
think that's
that's
the biggest
way
block?
greater freedom,
Yeah, I agree.
way greater freedom and fulfillment and
Mm,
ease. If I'm not scared every day about how my money comes or where it's coming from.
hmm So do you think that's the biggest block, that people don't fully stand up in their power because they're afraid of people not liking them? Or what do you think is the biggest block?
That's one. I wanted to make a quick comment on it, but actually, what's coming through and seems even bigger is like an addiction to hardship,
Mm, hmm
and that really comes from early in childhood. Like when I work with clients, we go to early time. Could be birth, could be gestation, could be moment of conception even. Like where did they get this imprint, this pattern that it has to be hard?
hmm
And that's like it's a nervous system state too. There's like this place of like all this hard work. Even when people sleep, sometimes they don't actually get deepest rest because their whole system is like holding, like
hmm
it has to be hard. Is it going to be okay? So on a nervous system level, they haven't learned to actually fully let go into trusting that it can be easy. And that's a process how to teach them that and how to shift from within so they can then start perceiving ease and choosing more ease
Hmm.
in their life.
What do you think is the number one skill for creating ease? Is it that choice? Is it just deciding I'm going to choose? Or what's your number one go-to for creating ease in your life and business?
On a surface level, I'd say just follow what feels more easy, what feels more inspiring, what feels joyful. And I think we have all heard these words, right? Yeah, follow ease. But there's a deeper level where like really support is needed so the person can actually follow ease and doesn't subconsciously choose situations that are hard. So that's where, the inner shift needs to happen
Hmm.
to actually follow a new path forward.
It's such a perspective conversation, because I can imagine somebody saying, and I have clients who um, sometimes find themselves in this conundrum. The easier thing would be to quit, right? Because the short term is, this is too hard, and let's face it, we're both on this entrepreneurial path, and there are moments where it is hard,
Mm.
and so the easier thing would be to quit, to say, I'm not going to make that video, I'm not going to write that email, I'm not going to have that hard conversation with a client. That would be the easier thing, right? And yet, the longer term
Mm.
freedom that we're talking about is easier than being in the discomfort of, oh, I have to get on video again.
I love how you're bringing it up because it's not the kind of ease I'm actually speaking of.
Mm,
And I'm so glad you're bringing it up because I can see how some people might take my words and say, like, whatever, I'll just sit on a couch for the rest of my life. No, like I speak of an ease that's more of like deep, intuitive inner guidance.
hmm
And when your intuition speaks, there's like a feeling of freedom and ease and expansion that comes in. And
mm,
sometimes having the hard thing, like having that hard conversation with your client, brings this sense of expansion and brings more ease. But it's a deeper ease that expands you, empowers you, makes you feel more full, makes you feel more on purpose. And it might require doing things that are uncomfortable in the moment.
hmm
So that boils down to more following like a deeper thread, like a deeper intuition, which is also a big part of my work, like how to actually follow it, how to listen to it.
Can you be at ease in the moment when the moment is challenging?
I can be. I'm not always 100% there, but I definitely can. And I just had a moment like this just last few days where there's a client. I see how to make this story very short. There's a client with whom I need to have a potentially challenging conversation and say that, hey, maybe it's best for you to do something you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she wouldn't like it. But actually, when I tune into that conversation, it feels so right deep in my core. It feels actually expansive for me because I know, like, I see the bigger picture moving forward, that it feels good and right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the ease that comes with it. Even
Mm-hmm.
though on a surface level, it might look like a challenging conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's also what contributes to her ease. So it's like tracking something deeper than just mundane surface details.
Mm-hmm. I'm really
But for
glad.
that, there needs to be an attunement to our own selves deep inside.
I'm really glad that we had this moment of clarification, because it's such a it's almost like the split between the conscious and the subconscious mind. And the conscious mind says, what's the thing I'm supposed to do that's easy, right? Or hard? Do the blog post, it's something that, like, it's some action I need to take. And that's like the thinking analytical genius mind, that it knows what its next step is. The subconscious conversation is, what's the feeling? And what you're talking about is, forget about what you need to do. Go into the feeling. What feels, what creates most ease for you in the feeling?
Exactly. And the ease comes with the self love, like how
Mm-hmm.
much I prioritize my own well being.
Yeah.
Like I have had many days where in the morning I say, this is my day. I'm only following what's most nourishing, most easy, most enjoyable. And interestingly enough, my ego immediately thinks, oh, it's definitely not going to be work. I'm not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I follow my truest inspiration and I let myself rest and rejuvenate, so often what inspires me, I actually want to do that thing that yesterday seemed hard.
Yeah.
I all of a sudden, but it comes from a different place. It actually comes from my soul's guidance. Like, oh, this email writing feels really right and good and
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable now.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't come from the place of ego or pushing or hard work.
It's so funny. I was just having a conversation with a client about this yesterday, and there's work and there's not work. And I was saying, I want you to focus a lot on the not work, because when you're doing the dishes or taking a bath or walking the dog, or, just looking out the window at the rain, that's when the inspiration comes in. And you sitting in front of your computer and trying to, like, force out that email is actually going to pinch you off from that flow. And if you make your not work be the times that you do your work, right? Like, it is way easier. Love
It
that.
is way easier. Yeah, and part of my journey, which I think you know, Deborah, is that about 10 years ago, I worked so hard doing all the hard things that I burned myself completely out. And then I got very sick and I had to take a 2-year sabbatical where I couldn't help anyone or
Mm,
anything. I was totally out of commission. And that was the period when I actually became a devotee of ease.
mm. I love that. A devotee of ease. Write that
Because I
down,
knew
y'all.
what hard work would do to me. And I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of hard work giving workshops. I was helping people. I was doing so much good in the world, except I was getting more and more sick.
Mm,
And during that 2-year period when I completely let go of everything, I dedicated myself to learning to how to follow ease and how to actually create abundance and prosperity from the place of ease, because I did not want to burn myself out again. That was not an interesting option to me.
right. Right. Not an option at all. So what's a simple practical tool you could offer to people here who are listening to this and they're like, oh my gosh, I so want that. I want to build my business without worry and without struggle. So ease, please.
Ease, please. um, well, what I said before, I want to mention two things. One is that just give ease a chance. Like,
Mm-hmm.
see what happens when you start following choices and options that feel nourishing to you, that feel inspiring, that feel expansive, that feel exciting. Follow that. And another part is just really receive support. Work with someone who can work on your deeper subconscious patterns that maybe just keep choosing unnecessary struggle. Yeah.
Those are great suggestions. And third, you can down below download. There's a link. It says free gift, and go get that meditation that's called Know Your Worth and Embody Peace. And it's just a beautiful meditation. As you can hear, the sound of Julia's voice is very easeful. And for people who are watching, we have a lot of creative, high achieving entrepreneurs who are tuning into this, and I just want you to know that here's somebody who built an incredible business, has many devoted fans and followers, and is living a life of ease, teaching and coaching something that is based on breath, right? Like, that is so powerful. Like, you don't have a book yet, do you?
I have no time to write it. I
Not
wish I
yet.
had more
Okay, there's no
time.
book, right? But what I just want you to get is there are a lot of people who are watching that are like, oh, I don't have X, Y, and Z.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
knows how to breathe, and Julia discovered something that was so healing for her, and she turned it into a business. And that's I just want to highlight that, because at the beginning Julia was saying, well, it's so simple, and yet it's one of the hardest things for us to learn, to receive our own breath, to take in as much breath as you want. Breath is such a good metaphor for abundance, and I mean, it is the source of wealth that all of us are tuned into fundamentally. So I'm just so honored and thrilled to have you here. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Is there any last little jewel you'd like to share with us?
So many jewels. I feel called to come back full circle to where we started. It's like the more you embrace every part of you, the more you actually start seeing your true value. But just because you have anger sometimes, or pain, or insecurity sometimes, this does not mean you're not good enough. And the more you embrace all that you are, the easier it will be to know your gift, to know your value, and to bring it forward in the world. And then it doesn't require some fancy letters behind your name. It doesn't require writing a book. It's just about you owning your value and letting it shine. It's that simple.
Own your value and let it shine. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah. So
Blessing.
good to be with you. Bye.
Bye.